Hey everybody, thanks again for listening to Filling in the Gaps. Apologize for being a little bit late on this one this week. We've had some significant technical issues on our end over here. With that being said, we powered through. We still got this episode finished. You will hear a bit of a shift in terms of the audio quality, but that will just be for this week. We'll get it back on track next week. In lieu of that, we hope you enjoy, because this episode was quite a bit of fun to make. So enjoy, guys. Thanks for listening to Filling in the Gaps. See you next time.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. My name is Rich from the Heartland state of Ohio, and you know what? I'm real thankful for this friend of mine, my co-host, and someone close to my heart, Cameron, my gracious co-host from the biggest and baddest state of Texas. And I hope he's putting some dramatic, soft music over this, even though it's going to be more work on him. But I hope he does it so everyone can truly hear and feel what I feel for him. Just a fraction of what I feel for him as my co-host.
I'm so thankful for you and all the things that you do for me.
It's just
especially
so...
all the editing.
I know. But
if
if you guys are listening for the first time, thank you for putting up with that weird introduction. What Filling in the Gaps is we like to say it this way: Filling in the Gaps is not an actual play D&D podcast, but we're a podcast that's here to help resource you so that you can actually play. We might not always talk about rules, we might not always talk about exactly how to build NPCs and stuff like that, but we will promise to always be here spitting out ridiculous and sometimes actually usable ideas that you can use to roll with, to create your own sessions for your friends at your game night. Cameron, what's going on? What's new? Anything to announce to the people this week?
Don't run the deck of many things. I'm just kidding. I run the deck of many things. I don't know. Man.
Cameron,
the other day I said don't roll
Cameron
dice unless you're willing to accept that. And then I throw in the deck of many things at the end of a session the other day thinking this would be a great way to end it. And I was like, maybe they'll draw one card and they'll have a good time. And I had players that were like, I'm going to draw 3 cards. And they were like, oh man, I'm dead now. And it's like, this went way worse than I expected it to.
Hey, but shameless plug. We've had some great advice given on our Discord about what you can do with that. So, shameless plug for our Discord. If you're ever looking for people who can, really go through what you're going through, and you might be really upset or stressed about something, but say, hey, I gave my players a deck of many things. What do? They're a great bunch over there on the Hive Mind. Great bunch of folks.
They truly are. Actually, Combi Zombie made a deck of manly things. I haven't had a chance to my internet wouldn't load, so I wasn't able to read it. But there's always somebody there willing to help, and so thank you, because y'all were there for me this week, and I think I found a solution. I have another solution though, and that's also just completely blowing up that game and starting over with another story. But I'm trying to think of what I would have to do with the new story, and I start by saying one question.
Okay.
Shall we roll?
Let's do it. Okay, I don't know what that was. Molly, that was for you, trying to do something new, trying to keep it fresh just for you, but for everybody else who's new. What we're about to do is, this week, I am going to be rolling for our themes. Cam will be rolling for our scenarios. After we each roll a tried and true D20, we'll figure out what we will be brainstorming for the next 45 to 50 minutes, or however long it takes, for you to get the material you deserve as the fans of this show. Cam, you ready to roll?
Today's going to be a 6-hour episode, so buckle up, everybody.
However long it takes.
Let's do this thing. I'm ready. Here we go.
Oh, I got a 16.
Man, I rolled a natty 1 there, buddy.
Ooh, natty 1.
That's
okay,
tough.
well, while you look into what those are, let me tell the rest of you here about a fantastic group of people over at Libris Arcana Dice. Look, we know you love dice. What are you trying to hide here, okay? You know where you're at. You know what you're listening to. We get it. You like dice, all right? You know who else knows that? Libris Arcana Dice. And they're willing, for a reasonable fee, to send you a random set of dice every single month. No shame, no judgment attached. All you have to do is hop onto their website and use our promo code FITG, and you'll get 25% off your first month. How's that sound? Okay. Oh, let me throw another thing at you. They actually offer they'll send you 3 sets of dice every 3 months, and you can still get 25% off that first order too. Yeah, that's the fantastic people over at LibrisArcanaDice.com. Stop kidding yourself. Stop lying to yourself. You love dice. Accept yourself, you beautiful human, and go there and get more. Okay, end of that statement.
Wow, man. You ever had one of those ad reads where you just go, maybe we should just pre-record this and start throwing it in the middle, but you know what? When you got something beautiful like that, I just have to accept. That was gorgeous, my friend.
I was really feeling it. Someone out there needed that. Someone out there needed that little bit of a pick-me-up.
I don't know if we could say that, but, yeah, somebody needed that today.
You're right. That's a message the whole world needed to hear. The whole world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. UN, perk your ears up. We got a message about dice for you. Mm-hmm. I have a message about scenarios and themes for y'all today, and I have a feeling that y'all might like this one.
Okay.
Our theme today is brought to us by LaGravy. Man, you are littered on... You know what's funny? Adam is on our list a few times, but not enough to... His luck of being drawn every single week is kind of off the charts. It's incredible. So,
yeah.
Adam, thanks, man. LaGravy. I don't know. 16 is your role, correct? That theme is a costume party. And our scenario week...
How festive.
...is, on the Nat 1, is The Rise of a Masked Vigilante. Brought to us by Josh 333rd.
Come on now.
I know, man. It's actually that actually kind of worked out. So
this is like the first person who put chocolate and peanut butter together, and they were like, "Oh, we got something."
Well, this should have been here forever. That's like they should have been peanuts and cocoa trees should have been born right next to each other.
Just right next to each other. Okay, so Cam, let me ask you this: as usual. Costume party, Rise of a Masked Vigilante. What are you seeing in your head right now? What pictures are you seeing? What stories?
A game of
characters?
Clue.
Okay.
A game of Clue. I don't know. I picture like a cocktail party, right? Mm-hmm. Like a cocktail party, and everybody's wearing mask. Mm-hmm. And so maybe there's like a bunch of villains that are also sort of happening at this party that are happen to be at this party, and then you also have an actual maybe superhero or vigilante or this could be the origin story of a vigilante,
because it is the rise.
It is the rise of a masked vigilante. I don't know. Yeah, I do definitely see sort of like a boisterous, loud, big, almost like ballroom-esque mansion, and then like a whodunit kind of feel to it as well. I don't know though. My question is how far do you want to take the vigilante thing, like the rise of the masked vigilante? What do we want to do with that character?
Well, before we get too much into that, let's focus more on because for me, when you said the whole ballroom thing and the more of the whodunit thing, the costume party side of things, that gives some great place to establish tension. Because now, if you're asking the question who done it, that means there has to be more than one suspect. There have to be multiple people who would want to do something, either to harm someone or to steal from someone. And that sounds like the breeding ground for a vigilante. Because it's not just one person who needs brought to justice. Potentially it's multiple people, or it's mistakenly that there's multiple people who need brought to justice. So I think that's a really perfect place for this thing to take place, is in a manor with a bunch of rich folk or a bunch of people from all different walks of life, and they've all come here to do whatever. Maybe it's a business celebration. Maybe it's to go ahead and solidify an alliance. Maybe it's some type of old adventuring group that's gotten back together. Maybe it's whatever it is. There's a bunch of people who see things very differently and have different hurts from their past or different agendas they're trying to push in a room, and then something happens. And as they're trying to or they're in a room and somebody else looks to this group as an evil group and is now trying to take them out from the inside, and that's where this whole masked vigilante, because vigilante doesn't mean when I first hear vigilante, the thing that pops into my mind is like, oh, Batman's called a vigilante, oh, Spider-Man's called a vigilante, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think all vigilantes are necessarily good.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Punisher.
Exactly. Or even like in the stories that we consume in pop culture, vigilante has almost kind of been turned into a subword for hero. But
right.
I don't know the exact definition, but I think a vigilante is more focused less on what they're doing, whatever they're doing, what it's amounting to, good or bad, and more the fact that they are enacting, they're kind of going in their own route of doing something. So this person could be wrong. This could be like we just got done making that whole, Russ the Wall Walker. I would consider him to be a vigilante because he's kind of putting on his own persona to do something that he thinks is right, whether or not it is.
I'm gonna look up the exact definition of the word vigilante here.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Filling in the Gaps. What's that word? Where two idiots who don't know the meaning of words have to Google what words mean.
A member. Hold on. First off, let me look up the definition of the word dumbass. Oh, look, our picture showed up. Okay, here's the specific definition. I'm just trying to say to help us define this a little bit more.
I love this.
Okay. A member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate.
Are thought.
Mm-hmm. You can be wrong.
Can be wrong.
You definitely can be wrong. I also just found out that there is a bar in Austin called Vigilante Gastropub and Games where you can play D&D. I'm not even joking. It just popped up right there.
Hey-o. So if you're from the Austin area, Google. Stop on in. Also sponsor us.
I'll come play D&D with you. I don't care.
Because, so here, I'm sorry. I know I've been talking a lot.
No.
But I want to pass this back over to you.
This is how I've always felt. It's fine. No. We're falling apart, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. No, go for it.
Okay, because this is my thinking, and this is the thing I'm wrestling with. Is it better to have a vigilante who's sympathetic, meaning that the players agree and try to help them take these people out? Does that create a more fun session? Or is it better to have a vigilante who the players work to try to stop? Is it better to have them try to stop this vigilante? What's a more fun scenario? I think watching a sympathetic vigilante on a show feels better because you agree with them and you kind of have the same feelings of like, oh, you're being wronged and they're doing something about it. But does that create a fun D&D session?
I have a third option for you here.
Okay, I like this third option.
What if you just let your party make the choice after witnessing
what
actions?
Cam, letting the party have agency? Are you crazy? You've already given them a deck of many things. What? You're far too risky, Cam.
Let me pull this card real quick. Oh, looks like I'm the best DM ever. That's weird. I don't know.
You need to get your players.
Yeah.
You need to get your players a train ticket stat. Get them on the railroad quick.
Oh yeah, I guess so. No, hear me out.
Yeah.
I think back to our episode with where we did the doppelganger and the kingdoms, and they had the gala that the doppelganger he was sort of interjecting himself into the wedding itself,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking about that one right now. That's just the scene that I'm sort of seeing all the way around my brain. Now we take that sort of like feel, and then I introduce 5 main core bad guys, and maybe they're your like lesser thans, like your kingpins, your even though Kingpin is a pretty high level bad guy, but he's like a New York based bad guy. Yeah. Your Mysterio, if I'm using Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
All those kinds of, like you're using the less like Electro, nothing, not the biggest
no Sinister
of the big
Six.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Electro's Sinister Six, but
no, he is. But he's like, you can shoot lightning out of your hand. You're a big deal. We're talking like Parlor Room Tricks Mysterio and Kingpin, who's just like a one buff boy. And
yeah. I don't know why I can't think about anybody else, though, for some reason. I'm like drawing a blank here. Ooh, Shockwave or Shocker. Yeah, he's like
Shocker.
Like, yeah. So I look at it like those kind of bad guys, right? That aren't necessarily impactful from a grand scale, but when I'm put into a room all together, and maybe trying to create a coalition of sorts, they have their reasoning. But maybe this is a fundraiser that's hiding the fact that, and by doing a good thing, they're hiding the fact that they're actually coming together to also maybe launder funds or whatever like that. Then you've got this vigilante that has tried to make this known for quite some time, and then decides to themselves, you know what? I'll just take it into my own hands. And they aren't the type of vigilante that's like, I'll tie them up, and you know what? We'll let the authorities talk to them. No, it's like, this is the vigilante that just shoot somebody right in the face.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I got an idea.
I like it.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So what if, once again, vigilante, it's an individual who's a part of a group who sees something wrong. What if you're at this whole gala, or maybe you're not at whatever, your players are helping out. They're helping to continue the identity of this vigilante, who might not necessarily be one person, if that makes sense. Maybe the person who
so like a V for Vendetta situation.
Yes, maybe the person who was this vigilante, excuse me, I burped. Maybe the person who was this vigilante actually got arrested or killed or something like that.
Oh, man, that's a great idea.
And people are like, hey, we have to keep, and maybe it's not even a large group. It might even just be one or two people. It might even just be like a Batman's Alfred type thing, like someone who can't do it, but also can't tell people about it. And he's like, you have to, like, the people need this hope. They need to hold on to the fact that the masked sparrow, that the man-bat was real. It's less about the man and more about what he stands for.
I found you, Mr. Wayne.
Yeah.
I let you down. I found you.
You do it much better than I do. Because think, like, for me, one of the characters I play in a session that we put like a big pause on was a full illusion mage. And dude, if you dropped him into a session like this, I'd be having a heyday. I'm like, dude, I've put everything I had into making it look like people are doing something that they're not doing. Like, I would love to illusion magic this Batman in these different scenarios doing stuff, and then the rest of the party actually making it happen.
I like the idea that this is sort of like an ensemble representing a singular entity.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally have like, well, this vigilante knew how to fly, and the party looks around. None of us know how to fly. And then they're like, okay, well, maybe we could get these ropes and set up a pulley system and have you fly across the middle of the ballroom.
Yep. It's so much harder to try to pretend that this one person is real for these 5 people than it would be for the 5 people to actually just do the thing that he's supposed to do. Like, his job might be like, oh, you have to kill this person, but you have to do such a long grocery list of things to actually do that.
Because otherwise, if the villains were to catch wind of the fact that this person no longer exists, then chaos would ensue. Because they're like, oh, we have free reign now.
Yep. And the populace would be crushed. Like, because they put so much hope in that figure. And maybe that's even part of it. Is like, this is a celebration because they've brought, the bad they, have brought this vigilante, the person who they think was him, to justice. And he actually is getting executed. And he actually is getting put into prison. So this vigilante is now shut down. But the populace doesn't know that. There's still this hope. There's still this, like, no, he's out there. He's going to help us. He's going to show up.
I have an idea as well. If we wanted to create some NPCs for this, why not give an NPC, why not have, I like the idea, you know, Batman and Batgirl, right? Obviously, they have sort of like this father-daughter relationship, right? Or no, they were never romantic. No,
I
that
don't
was
think
Batman.
so. I think
No,
it might also depend. I'm not sure.
You know what? There's probably one out there, at least some fan fiction, that someone went nuts with that, but that's
Yeah.
not in my world. I like the father daughter relationship between the two, or in the movie Kick-Ass with Hit Girl and her dad or whatever.
They're my favorite. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I like the
I've
idea
seen that movie.
of the girl picking up the mantle of this as well, and then the players ultimately helping to sort of prop her up and support her in this situation.
Yes.
By being her little birdies essentially.
So it's not essentially a straight up. We have to, this guy could fly, and this guy sounded like this, and this guy was this tall. It's much less of mimicking. It's more like you're letting them help create this girl's persona, or this daughter or the son's persona. Like, what are you going to be known for? Because you might not be able to fly, but for now, if we want to, we can make it look like you can, so that people are afraid, thinking that you can, so that these villains are out there thinking that you can.
Right.
Like, you might not be able to shoot an arrow and hit somebody from 50 yards away, but someone in our party can, and we can make these bad guys think you can.
We know it's a tough time right now, because obviously your father, or this, let's call him George the superhero.
Gotcha.
That's what everyone knows him as.
Okay.
Is it a man? Is it a plane? No, it's George the superhero.
Yeah, it's just George,
and he's got a big G on his chest. But it's just chest hair. Anyways, so that is pretty gross now that I think about it. And it's natural. It actually wasn't shaved ever.
Cam, what are you doing to me?
Georgina, his daughter, she's an incredibly talented person, actually more so than her own father, right? And I like the idea of her picking up the mantle when no one else had expected her to do so, right? She was raised in this like lap of luxury, in this wealth, and when she got wind of the fact that her dad was I don't know, detained or something like that, or maybe even beforehand, whenever she found out who he was, and then he began training her, and then through this he became softer, and because of that led him to being captured. Now it's his daughter's time to come about, and your players are tasked with helping her do so.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, or so is that the direction we want to take that?
I love this direction. Because I think, too, another thing is, I think this girl needs to be, her actual age needs to be somewhere. Now, this gets tricky because, like, dwarves' ages are weird, and elves live a long time. But I think if this person can be just past that adolescence, like that, just past that puberty age, like in human age, like if they were around like 16, 17, like old enough that they can, but not quite there to have the maturity to do everything. I think that would help evoke a lot of empathy of like, hey, we need to help you do this, but you can also do it. Like that little bit of like, hey, we believe in you. There's going to be some players who are like, no, she's far too young, and others who are like, no, she can do it. That's when we started. But it also creates this cool moment where you could come back later and, for better or for worse, see what's happened. Like, maybe this girl now is, once again, talking to the future. We should probably focus on the present. My bad. But like, it allows more moments for you to come back to this. Yeah, for you to come back to the town and see maybe this girl who is killing it and just doing awesome, but she's got some battle scars now, and you could wrestle with that. Or maybe she's not doing so good, and you're here to like maybe wrestle with like the guilt of like, oh, we set her up to fail. Or I like more the other option of you feeling like, yeah, we helped her out. She's succeeding. She's doing it. She's killing it. But but maybe that now there's a villain that we put her in a lot of danger trying to tackle, and we need to get her out of it.
I just like the idea of like your players they come up and they witness her like in the middle of a fight or something like that, and she's just like defending herself and knocking people off left and right and just punching people, and they're like, wow, she's doing so good, and then she like just gets real savage for a second and just reaches over, breaks a dude's neck, cuts a dude's head off or something like that, and they're like,
But honestly, that could be something you wrestle with, is putting this this kid, the
Yeah.
16-year-old,
Yeah.
in a session where now this is their job, is literally their job is to hurt people who they, in a way, maybe even as a survival tactic, have to villainize to be able to hurt. Because there's a whole mental thing there with like the propaganda you yourself have to put yourself through to be able to cause that much harm to somebody.
Right.
So maybe there isn't even like a, hey, yes, this is good for the city, but bad for this girl, and now we have to help her with that.
You know, and there's
We're
I
getting
also
deep.
liked.
We're getting deep in this episode of Filling in the Gaps today. Buckle up, kids.
Yeah,
Buckle
I
up.
also like. There was a storyline with one of Batman's sons. I'm using Batman. Well, we're talking about Masked Vigilantes, so that would be why we are talking about that. But
he's a great representation.
But he also dealt with his predecessors not always marrying the code of his own. Whereas Nightwing was like, devout to the way of the bat. I'm not going to kill anybody. No one will be killed. Nightwing, or not Nightwing, the Red Hood was more than willing to put a bullet in someone's head. Thomas or whatever, I can't remember that Robin's name. And then even after that, there was another Robin that was like just straight up had a sword all the time and would just kill people. And he was like, "Hey, you can't kill people." And he's like, "I'm gonna do it, Dad, because look, I just did." So I think that there's this really cool moral situation where you have to deal with like what happens, and I think that you could actually define that if you're doing more of a long form storytelling version of this. Is the way you could define that is by that very night and the amount of success or failure that comes along with that. So if it's an easy, sort of breezy night where she's able to sort of dispatch the enemies without necessarily having to kill many people, then that sets the standard for her moving forward in the fight. I can do this. I've seen it done this way. But because she's not in the fight with her father, if, say, for example, the fight ends up being bloody and messy and things like that, well, then longer down the line, she could become this more ruthless vigilante of sorts.
Dude, that's even a cool conversation for this Alfred type character to have with your players.
Yeah.
Is like it might even be a cool opportunity for you to, through an NPC, have a conversation like that with your players. It's like, hey, I don't know how you normally do things. I don't know much about you, but I know that this girl looks up to you, and that whatever you do this night, whatever decisions you decide to make this night, won't just impact you, it'll impact her. So, like, take that into account. Like, if something goes south, how bloody do your weapons get? Like, because that's going to be a reflection on how she's going to do things. So, like, take that into account.
Right.
There's
a bit of a hole in. There's a bit of a hole in that now that I'm thinking about it, considering the fact that, what kind of impact would 5 strangers in a singular night have on an individual? But I think that's how impactful this night has to be.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that too, it's all the setup. Because remember, like, I think you have to somehow wrap your players up with this girl, even if that's like the kingpins and the shockers of the situation who have captured Batman and are celebrating this. Maybe they know that this Batgirl exists, that he had a daughter or something like that, and maybe that's how your players get introduced, is by you're outside the town and you hear muffled cries for help, and you walk up and you see minions, henchmen, fighting this girl, and you see she's got some moxie. You see she's fighting back, but she needs your help, and you step in, and that's what gets you tied into this whole scenario.
I love that.
Dude, because I love the idea of this girl having moxie. I love the idea of, like...
I actually like the idea of, like, the screams of help being from the minions themselves.
Ooh, yeah.
As she has just dispatched, like, 3 of them and just, like, whipped their butts.
Oh, yeah, because I think the other thing, too, is when you show up, when your players show up, it's either that your players are the type of people who are watching this happen and think, like, and are like, hey, do you need help? And she's like, no, I don't need help. I've got this on my own. And she's getting cocky, and then she gets hurt. Or, like, they just start helping and firing arrows and helping, and she's like, she's getting mad at them. Like, get out of here. I don't need your help. I don't know who you are, but I've got this. And then that's how she gets hurt or something like that.
Yes, I love that. Where it's the distraction. So
She's
she
getting.
can like almost blame your players.
Yeah.
For that situation. And
because she also, like any vigilante, wants to do it on her own. Like, I don't need anybody else's help. Like, I can handle this.
Get out of my face. And then she just sounds like Batman.
I'm not just some little girl. I can take care of myself.
I'm the kitty cat in the night. God. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our 1 minute of creepy time. Hope you don't mind.
There's so many segments I love that have launched from this episode. There's Two Idiots Don't Know a Word segment. There's 1 minute creepy time.
1 minute creepy time. Yeah. These are quality things. As things die in our show, things come back to life.
Exactly.
Or not so much come back to life, but are born anew from the death below, you know? Valley Girl Wizard. We haven't talked to Valley Girl Wizard
oh my gosh.
in what almost feels like a year. So
oh my gosh. I thought she was dead.
She's
back.
She's actually she's the big bad. She's the main big bad of this episode, actually, come to think of it. So she's all, you have no idea gone. What you have brought upon yourselves.
You all thought I was gone, but you don't just get rid of me.
Not today, say. Okay, so we have talked about the relationship, the rise of said vigilante. I actually love this idea of this child of a vigilante having to fill in the gaps of their. Hello.
He did the thing.
Yeah.
Blow horns. They're going off.
Of their predecessor, right? So, now let's head back over to the costume party itself. Okay. And let's talk about what kind of things could you incorporate within that world.
Well, I think first off,
was that an idea gasp? Because if you're not you got to jump on your idea gasp.
No, it was an idea gasp. I think they all are dressed up like the vigilante.
I like that a lot.
Like, imagine, like,
that? Did you say that earlier?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay,
like,
cool.
I'm imagining, like, if the, in a world where, like, the Joker and Penguin and the Riddler and Dr. Freeze all actually killed or captured the Batman, and they throw this twisted party where they dress up like him.
Wow.
And are, like, celebrating as that.
Oh, and the kid has to see that whole thing? Oh, man. So now you're dealing with, like, having to refrain the kid from, or having to help the kid refrain from killing people.
Yeah.
And who do you
Or
kill?
letting them.
Or, like, yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, hey.
Depending on how you want to set her up for her future vigilante work.
Yeah, I guess so. That's pretty awesome. That leads to so many really cool little situations, though. Think about it, because you've got to make, like, your passive wisdom essentially is going to be a huge component in this when it comes to your players, because they're going to be you're going to be trying to figure out who's who all the time too, right?
Yep.
This is interesting. This is a good one here.
I like what kind
of there's I like, so if we're talking about like a large mansion, actually, man, wouldn't it be really cool if it was the mansion that the girl grew up in?
Oh, of course. See, I'm even thinking, for me, if I could go back in time, I had a player who like got married, adopted a kid they met who was an orphan, like all in the game. But then like the wife died, and then the kid, he played as the kid's character for a while. Anyway, I could imagine a session like that. This could be even a cool way of giving some justice to a player who maybe wants to play as their old character's kid and their old character died. This could be a cool way of allowing your player to have that sense of justice for like killing the people who killed him. But that's so situational. I just thought it would be something cool.
I know it's situational, but at the same time, you could definitely go to that player and say, "Look, I have an idea for something to do with a retired character of yours. If you'd like to try this out."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like that conversation that you and I had earlier about how I was going to deal with instead of actually having the player come back because of Don John and the Wish and all that kind of stuff on the deck of many things, I'm replacing them with sort of like an evil character, and then my player told me that they'd be willing to play that character for the time being until we were able to get their other character back. Like, those are the kind of things that, man, I hope none of my players listen to this episode now that I just said that out loud. But
Bam, bam, bam.
okay, so let's talk about then the costume party itself. What kind of things inside the costume party? Like, I think of the back patio sort of gala area where there's like a bunch of hung lights, maybe a bunch of different people to talk to. See, they're all wearing Batman masks, so or not
And
Batman.
even like
you know what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
yeah.
But this isn't. I don't think this is even just a party for like 6 people. I like the idea of this being like these 6 people are throwing this whole town event.
Yeah,
and
no, it's
almost
like
like
hundreds of people.
Yeah, and even like in the Batman universe, like this is like a lot of people, a lot of respected townspeople and town officials and stuff like that show up to this thing because they're like, it's easier to jump on the Batman is a bad guy bandwagon train and be like, yeah, I'm glad that this guy is done. Like, almost because like the propaganda of the town might even be that a lot of people think he is evil, so they're even here. Like, these normal citizens are even here dressed up in like funny little bat masks or whatever, if that makes sense.
And then inside this costume party is a bomb or something to kill everybody. This is a trap, right?
Yeah, it's a trap, or you just have these. There's of course going to be, as the whole town is quote unquote celebrating. You have these minions, these bad guys, these henchmen who are here, who have because they're also celebrating, but there's also the ability for something to go very wrong.
I like the idea of now that the Batman's dead, Mm-hmm. Now we get to run amok, and let's start this fear train going by killing some of the major leaders of this town.
Ooh.
And introducing a good bit of anarchy. And this is why this party has been thrown, and maybe Intel has gotten word of this, and that's why, and she's been tracking this, maybe the daughter after you know what I mean?
Sorry, I just dropped something. No, I like that too, because then it's like you have this whole moment for like, he was the only one keeping you safe, and now that we've got him out of the way, like, you're next. And then there's even this whole like, there's this whole grim comedy of like they're dressed up as him, but even he wasn't strong enough to stop them. So there's this whole like grim comedy kind of there as well. But then a new hero, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, steps up to defeat the evil once and for all, avenging her father's death, and in one fell swoop taking out all the villains. Her name is... I don't even know.
Alita, Battle Angel, in theaters now.
This is a good episode. I like this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get some encounters going here.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's think about some. I'm having a hard time with that.
Really? We have the initial counter out in the woods where you have this girl who has to have a very I can do this myself attitude. I don't need your help.
Well, yeah. I was talking about inside the costume party.
Oh, inside the costume party. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you were thinking of some
Well,
roofs.
you can do it on the grounds as well, though.
That's true. Hedge maze. That would be a great. That would be a great
we've
spot.
Always mentioned hedge mazes on the show, but we've never really like. I mean, obviously, what are we gonna do? Okay, so in this hedge maze, take a left, a right, a left, and then we're gonna go forward 3 paces, and then a right. How does that sound for an encounter for you, huh?
So fun. Time? I love it.
I think the hedge maze would be fun for sure.
Yeah, because there could be a cool moment where one of these henchmen, I could see this being like a penguin type henchman, who he runs off into the hedge maze to hide, and there's all these goons, in this hedge maze and maybe around it as security. I see this whole entire session in my head as like DLC for Arkham City. Like,
Yeah,
that's kind of how I'm playing it. He's like,
man.
the bat couldn't catch me, and you won't catch me either.
Yeah.
And you're like sneaking through or sneaking her through or helping, like your
I like
archer
how your
is
Batman
sniping.
bad guys are Cockney. You ain't gonna catch my Ava.
Well, isn't the Penguin Cockney?
I think he is actually. You know what?
Yeah.
Now that I think, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Throws down pen. Come at me, Cam.
I'll be in Ohio in just a second. Sprints with my new superhero powers. I like the idea of the ice rink being one as well. Like, yeah, there's an ice rink in this place because we're super rich. The boiler room.
A lot of steam,
and if we're gonna be doing
a lot of pipes, a lot of tight corridors.
D&D, we could either have well, now that I said D&D, I actually thought of 3 ideas. This is a stolen idea from the train episode from Heroes of Witten from way back in the day, but the boiler room could be air elementals mixed with water elemental or fire elementals and water elementals, yada yada yada. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, and that's a great way of escaping, is just to release them.
Oh, that's a great idea. I was thinking of the butler being a warforged.
Ooh, I like.
That would be fun. That would definitely be fun. I always like butlers to be like steampunk. I don't know what it is about that. I just want to have a butler with a golden mustache and like hold a towel over their arm and a tuxedo.
Like from Brawl Stars. Like the whiskey thrower guy from Brawl Stars.
Yeah, you know that game that we all play. What is Brawl Stars?
I played it for a little bit. It was from the guys who made Clash Royale.
Okay, I gotta look this up for you.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. But no, I like the idea of there being one villain who takes over the room that has the civilians in it, and has like hostages and is in there and is like making threats. If anybody comes in here, I'll start killing people. And that's like one whole encounter is like, how are we going to get this girl close enough to this guy to be able to take him out, while also not alerting him, while also not causing a panic, while also like, so there's like, you could shut off the lights in that room, and that's one thing, or you could find a way of, I don't know. There's all these elements where I feel like your players are playing Dungeons and Dragons, but they're not. It's almost more like they're supporting and creating this one through their assists. They're creating this one super character.
Will that be fun for players now that I think about that?
I think it depends.
I know.
Because here's the thing: if your players need combat, the hedge maze, they are individually fighting these minions, and letting her handle just what she can handle to look amazing. But they're still taking out a lot of minions. They're just making sure that it looks like she did, so they can still fight. I think it depends. I know some groups that would really enjoy this, mine being one of them, and I know some others who would be like, ugh, I'm not getting all the fame and the glory. Like, I don't know. I think if you create this lovable girl character, they will want to see her succeed. I don't even know fully what this girl character looks like, and I want her to succeed because she's just got that spunk. Like, she might have punched my character because she's like, I was handling this, and then she walks up and punches your barbarian. Like, you get out of here. I don't need your help. I don't even know who you are. And your barbarian, like, does the thing where he, like, touches his lip, and it's a little bloody. And he's like, I like this girl. She's got some... Yeah, I don't know.
I thought you were going to do the whole anime thing where they're bleeding in their lip, and they go... and they're like crushed into the side of a canyon. I'm sorry, I'm like super stopped up. By the way, guys, everybody, it was my 30th birthday like 3 days ago.
What?
So,
what?
Yeah, and I was and it was I'm recovering because I treated it like my 21st birthday. So.
Damn.
Yeah, but I actually did a murder mystery party during that birthday, and that actually was so funny that this all sort of happened in this way as well.
Yeah. Okay, so some other rooms. Library.
Ooh, the library is a great idea. Maybe there could be like a bad guy, and he's all, you You've made your way in. I think you've read
He's the
up on my
mastermind
plan.
character.
Yeah, and he's like this real smart guy, and then like he's just opening up these books, and each of these books are spell books that are just like shooting. They're just like floating around him like Zenyatta's orbs, essentially.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like,
excuse me with the yawn. But
well,
one step up from
I figure my storytelling has done such a great job of helping you feel so riveted.
it's just I'm so I've just been listening. I'm so just calm down. No, but I think one step up of library is, and it's like a library, but a little bit more exciting, observatory.
Oh,
so there's still a lot of books there, but there's also a skylight and some science, and it's great.
Yeah, you could do like an illusion magic, sort of like an astrology variant of an illusion magic wizard that once he points the observatory, or once she points the observatory in the direction of maybe a specific constellation, maybe then that's someone familiar, maybe like an Orion, like a centaur or something like that.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of some like really cool D&D ways to go about doing this.
Yeah, like they're summoning some stuff.
So
I also,
in terms of like the main destruction of everybody, should it be like everybody turn your keys all at once and we get to destroy everybody here, or is it all like a big hostage situation? I'm sorry, because I think I cut you off there too.
No, it's fine. I think that this is less of like a everybody turn the keys and we will, destroy everybody, and more of the one thing that was stopping us all this time is now not stopping us. Like very Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, just like imagine you just kill the Batman in any movie, and what would happen? Like these villains would just rule this place.
Right.
And this is what they think is their start of that. And they're just now making the big proclamation during this party of like, hey, everybody come dressed as the Batman, who was this really bad guy. Like, we hate him. And then when they show up, they have this whole like and this doesn't have to be a whole kingdom. This can be even just be like a small city or a fiefdom. It's not as big as Gotham City, where there's going to be like enough people to rise up and say like, no, we don't like that you're evil and you've told us now, so we're going to stop you. It's like a smaller group of people. Anyway,
like
so like this is their time of being like, haha, like you guys thought Batman was bad all these years. That's because we wanted you to think that, and we're actually like, he was the one thing holding us back from doing what we wanted to do, and now that he's gone, we're gonna do it. And you have these different, like you have the Killer Croc type, who's just big muscly dude. You have the Riddler guy, who's like more illusion-y magic and trickstery and manipulative. You have the Joker, who's just crazy and has some minions. It's just off the like you have these different villains all in the same room who are kind of working together, but at the same time are like, at the end of the day, as long as I can do what I want to do.
I like this a lot. I really, really like this a lot. It's a big thing.
Only thing I was going to say is, you had mentioned an illusion wizard being in the observatory. I actually would say I'd like to see the illusion guy be in the hedge maze. I think that could, but it's going to get really annoying because it's just going to be a lot of, oh, sorry, that was an illusion. You turned the wrong way. So I would make sure that as you're going through, it's more of like, it's less of like a, oh, look, another dead end, and more of like a, oh, look, like a dead end. Oh, less of that and more of like a, oh, crap, like we just walked into this place where there's like this giant animal or this ambush that was waiting for us. That way it's less of like a, oh, I made the wrong decision that got me the wrong answer, and more of a, oh, cool, an encounter caused by this guy's speciality and being tricky.
This is kind of a complete diversion away from the whole story that we've created, real quick.
I don't think we're known for that, Cam, at all.
But what if this entire costume party and the rising of Miss Vigilante didn't involve humans at all, but instead involved, and hear me out on this one,
I'm listening,
myconoids. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
my brain.
The most underutilized.
It's blown.
Like,
Cam.
Pure.
Oh, Cam, I can't handle it.
I honestly, I can't. imagine a more fleshed out race or species than the myconoids.
And underused. We almost never hear anybody talking about them.
I don't hear us talking about them at all. So, I think this is a good wrapping up point, though. It was a pretty short and sweet episode, but at the same time, I think that there was a good, solid foundation. You know, we found.
Yeah.
I'll do a summary for us here in a second, and then it's actually your turn for the synopsis. Actually.
Ooh, okay. I got a cool scene.
I'm
also,
pretty sure it is.
I think it is. Also,
okay,
guys,
yeah.
There's a spider on the wall next to me where I'm recording, and I just saw it. I'm so scared.
Are you so scared of spiders?
No, I'm just being silly. There is a spider there, but I'll take care of him later.
I just pictured the spider lifting up its front two legs, going, "What the hell, man?"
I'm your biggest fan.
I'm right here, dude.
This is his origin story. This is his origin story.
He's the Miss Vigilante. That's what's happening right now. His name is Michael Noid.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
my gosh.
The story's simple though. For the summary this week, it's pretty simple. It's the main hero of a small town or a whatever it may be. Has been captured by the core villains, and it's kind of a sad thing, right? Because you would expect the hero always wins, but in this story they do not. However, their child, and in our case we decided to do this little girl because we thought that would be pretty fun to do, and a breakaway from the norm. It has found that she's going to need to take over the mantle of her own father, to be able to maintain a level of crime freeness in the city, if you will. The villains have begun running rampant throughout the city and have planned to hold a party within the main mansion that our hero was, our hero called home, just to rub a little bit more salt into the wound of the girl herself. So in this time, your players are tasked with helping her to sort of establish herself in the city as the new crime-fighting force to be reckoned with. And throughout this, they make their way into the mansion and dispatch all of the different various villains that have made their way through. It's going to set up a really great scene for a lot of variety in terms of the fights that you might have or encounters that you must deal with. And it's just going to be a lot of fun, I think. So it's a simple episode, but at the same time, I think it's a good, short, sweet, to the point hook. It's a very solid hook overall that will get you in to let you have a lot of fun, especially in an environment that I don't think a lot of players get to mess around in. So.
It's essentially letting your players who have made characters help a girl make her character. It's too deep. It's so many layers.
Oh God. Okay.
My turns for the synopsis. Yay, seamless transition. Okay, so we see the party's going on.
Are you hopping in? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm hopping right into it.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're going. All right, cool. Sorry.
Okay, so the players, the power players, I should say, the villains in this scenario are huddled together in a very elaborately decorated room, a meeting room of sorts. There's a table, there's some foods. One of the villains, a bigger guy, is actually eating some of the food nervously, almost out of habit. He's trying to forget something. Something has gone wrong. Their plans have been foiled. They know that they killed him. They saw it happen. They defeated the man-bat. They defeated the myconoid man with their own two hands. They saw him die. But now, something at the party has been happening. Something's been showing up. Something's been stopping them, and they've lost one of their own. And that's the scene we're opening into. So, Oi, I thought we'd done took care of myconoid man. His spores are no longer getting on our shoes as we try to walk through and make sure everything goes according to plan. And then it pans over this other guy. He's like, but I don't know something happened. Something killed the man crocodile. Something, he's dead. Something killed him, and it looks looks just like the Mychonoid man. And then the light shut off, almost as if a darkness spell was cast on the entire room, and they're all looking at each other very nervously. Huh? What's happening? And then something else happens. It's like blindness and deafness gets casted by another one of your characters, and everyone's freaking out. Then thaumaturgy happens, or a minor illusion, and you hear this voice, and you see this figure rise up from the center of the table, and it's Mychonoid Girl, and she says, you thought that I was dead, but I'm back again as Mychonoid Girl to take my revenge. And then that's it. It was good in the beginning. I think the middle was strong. The end kind of fell apart a little bit. Some weak acting in the end.
The best performance I've ever heard in my entire life.
Guest voiced by Mickey Mouse, as Mychonoid Girl.
Well, guys, I tell you.
Minnie Mouse popped in. Oh my gosh! But that's it. That's the scene I'm thinking.
Man,
and, I don't know.
That was great.
I think this could be a really fun session to let your players kind of allow this girl to kind of helping this girl create her persona, and I think also it allows your players to invest into another character in the world, which is always good. It lets them have that moment of feeling like they're giving back, back.
I mean, in our first ever episode, you talked about like orphans and how you'd incorporated that into your game.
Oh,
and
they
I think
loved
that
it.
those but those like natural connections to the world because it's easy to want to help a child. It's just like we've all been that. We all want to make sure that they get to the point of where they can do the same to others. It's an easy hook, and so the twist in this one is that the child themselves is actually in a lot of ways more capable than the players that are attempting to help her in the first place.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a cool little concept behind it all. But I like that. Your voices, though, I gotta tell you.
What can I say?
I gotta tell you, man, they're the best voices I've ever heard.
I'm a man of many talents. Thank you. But Cam, if people wanted to tune in and hear more of my amazing voices, or they wanted to hear more of your amazing storytelling skills, or they wanted to hear either of us talk about how we've done things wrong in our sessions and need much more professional help from our hive mind, where could they find us at?
They can find us over at our Twitter at FitGDND. You can tweet about our show using the hashtag FITG. That's like our main social media account, honestly. We have our Discord as well to come over and join us there. You can find a link to that in our Twitter. You also have our Reddit as well. That's where we'll be posting a lot of our modules whenever we do ever get a chance to work on them as well. And beyond that, though, I mean, those are our main sort of core homes for where you can communicate with us directly. We are always happy to talk about anything D&D related. Love hearing all your stories.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. I just love on Discord and, a little bit on Reddit, hearing, we're all a bunch of nerds, and I think there's not a lot of time where I have people who I can nerd out about something that happened on my session with, because, I don't want to give away too much for my players, so I like being able to do that with our Discord people. And on Reddit, it's a nice place to be like, because I even saw that today. Some people were like, "Hey, this cool thing happened," or "This really unexpected thing happened." I like that. I like being able to hear all these passionate nerds talk about stuff.
On top of all that as well, it's really nice to be able to see like any of the modules that we've ever done. Like for example, Papaya Warrior, who's a part of our Discord, said I'll be running that they will be running this tonight. They're I don't know if it's tonight. It was probably a few nights ago. But they were going to be running our most recent module, and that's so exciting and so much fun to hear those stories enter your home and be able to be a part of in a way. So yeah, I love that, man. That's a lot of fun. We're big fans of that. But
big
that's
fans.
Where you can find us, though, man. So other than that,
well, cool. Well, hey everybody, you know what? Thanks for sitting on down and listening. To another episode of Fill in the Gaps. We so much enjoyed having you here. We just so much enjoyed it. Blessed our souls. Blessed our hearts. We're just brought the tears because you're here listening to us this week. I'm in a real wacky mood today. Cam's not used to it, so he's cracking up. But hey, this is what I can promise you. Here at Filling in the G, here at Filling in the G, Filling in the Gaps, we might not always be this wacky, but we will always help you brainstorm some ideas that you can use on your next game night. But we'll be seeing you guys on the next episode.